Legal Live is brought to you by Farah and Farah.
The comments and opinions expressed on this radio program do not constitute legal advice and do not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have a legal problem, a formal consultation will be required outside of this radio program.
This is Legal Live with Eddie and Chuck Farah. They're talking the latest legal news and answering your questions. To call Legal Live and ask Eddie and Chuck a question, grab your phone and dial 855-765-1045. That's 855-765-1045.
Welcome. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We are the show where you can call in with your legal questions and have Eddie and Chuck Farah, the legal experts, answer them for you. And we love your phone calls. Give us a call right now at 855-765-1045. Happy Saturday, you guys.
Hey, thanks, Sheifalika. That's right. It's all about you here on Legal Live, but we love you live, too.
We love you live.
It's Legal Live loves you live, and that's what we're here about. And we're here about your phone calls. Like Sheifalika says, your phone calls are our priority. We have things we want to talk about, but we want to take your phone calls. That's the priority. You've got the phone number. Feed us some questions. Feed us some opinions. Disagree with us. Talk about us. We want to hear what you've got to say first. Right. I do enough talking, so anyway. But, it's good to be back. We've been away for a couple of weeks, but we're back at it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear what you have to talk about today.
Well, I want to talk about restoration of civil rights. Convicted felons. When you're a convicted felon, you lose your right to vote, you lose your right to serve on a jury, and you lose your right to run for office. As we know, what's going on in our country today with
the president,
with former President Trump and all that. But if you're a convicted felon, only being charged, of course, does not prevent you from running for office. But you lose your right to vote, can't serve on a jury, and you can't run for office. So what do? Well, how do you get your civil rights restored? Well, in Florida, the way you do it, for certain felonies, if you're crime-free for 5 years, you file an application to get your civil rights back, and you get those civil rights without a hearing for certain felonies.
Oh.
Other felonies require you to be crime-free for 7 years, and but you have to go. There has to be a hearing. I mean, it's not automatic. Okay. Then, of course, if you want to get your gun back, your right to carry a firearm, that's a whole different clemency process. But generally, that's how it works in the state of Florida.
What if there's restitution involved?
Yeah, that's a good.
Is that a whole different?
I think you're right. I think. I didn't get into that, but we've talked about that before. Where you got restitution, people get these crazy fines they never can pay with the interest. What the state does, remember, they sell that debt, and the interest rates go sky high. So $10,000 ends up being $100,000.
You're never able to pay it off.
Never.
And
yeah.
So you're
always,
just in.
Yeah, you can't work. But in 2011, Chuck, Florida passed a law that a state agency. This is if you apply for a job with the state of Florida. A state agency may not deny an application for a license, permit, certificate, or employment based on your lack of civil rights. So let's say you're a convicted felon. You're still within the 5 years. You haven't been crime-free for 5 years. You want to get a permit to be a plumber. As long as the felony that you were convicted of is not related to the type of license you're trying to obtain, then you get that license. So that was kind of a good thing.
Yeah, that is good.
That gets people back in the workforce again, because what happens if they can't work, they got to go back to doing what they did before.
I know.
Ripping people off maybe or
it's
something like that.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. So that's a great law that was passed like 10, 12 years ago. But it allows you to get a person a license, permit, certificate, whatever it is, even if your civil rights have not been restored, they cannot deny you that license, which I think is a good law. And I think, crime-free for 5 years. I mean, you've paid your debt to society. Right. Why do you have to wait 5 years to get your right to vote? You're out of jail. You didn't do anything. I mean, I think maybe 5 years, especially 7 years, that's a long time. But to be denied your civil rights after you've paid your dues to paid your dues.
Right.
So
That's at least 1 or 2 election cycles. Is that a probationary period?
it's just you have to be crime free for 5 years,
Crime
depending
free.
on the felony, up to 7 years.
So that's include like speeding tickets?
That's not a felony.
Oh,
I mean,
got it. No
I mean,
felonies for 5 years. Got it.
Writing a bad check over a certain amount of money is a felony. If you're
Oh.
convicted,
Got
I mean,
it.
then
Got it.
you're done. You're out of luck.
Okay.
But so anyway, that's
At least there is some kind of path back to your civil rights because, I mean, you're right. You did pay your debt to society, and being crime free is.
getting the gun back, your rights to carry that's a lot much more difficult. It can be done. I know people who have done it, but it's a lot more difficult than what I'd get obtaining the right to vote and serving on a jury and run for office and all that. The gun is a whole separate, but you can get it. People have done it. You can hire a lawyer. They can help you through the process, and you can obtain a right to carry a firearm even if you're a convicted felon.
Wow.
Okay, now I want to talk about Social Security disability because our office, we do a lot of Social Security disability. We represent all kind of people who can't work anymore. I mean, it's not a handout. People talk about handouts all day long. You turn on the news, hand out this, hand out that. No, Social Security is something you've paid for. They've taken money out of your check, as you know. For every time you get a paycheck, the government takes a piece of that for your Social Security disability. So if you can't work, you get to apply, and you get, based on what you've paid into the system, you get money. You get a monthly check. Now, but what the government does is that there is a continuing review of your medical condition that goes on. Just because you obtain Social Security disability doesn't mean you have it for life. What they do is they've got it broken down into 3 categories. And what they call this the Continuing Disability Review, okay, CDR. And everybody, your condition, your medical condition is being monitored by the government, even though you've been approved for Social Security. If your condition is expected to improve, okay, if it's in a category that the government thinks is going to improve, they will review your condition, your Social Security disability between 6 and 18 months after you receive the check, okay, your first check. If it's possible that your condition will improve, they will review it within 3 years of the time that you received your first check or you were determined to be disabled. Even if your condition is not expected to improve, which could be something serious like a terminal cancer situation or some sort of terminal disease, even though it's not expected to improve, the government will review your condition in 7 years to see it. Now, if the government says you can go back to work, they've reviewed your medical condition and say, yeah, you can go back to work now. We're going to stop your check. You have 60 days to appeal, that decision. Now,
it's happening more often.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it.
Oh, yeah, they're reviewing them, and they're taking away people's money. We're seeing it. You're right.
We get emails from former clients that we've helped get benefits, and now they're being reviewed, and they're concerned that they may get cut off or their benefits reduced.
Mm-hmm.
That is scary if you think about it. Social Security
because they've relied on it for a period of time, and then they've been out of the workforce, and now it's hard to get back in.
They spent their lifetime working to earn it, and now that they're dependent upon it.
Yeah,
that is scary.
And if you're under 50, you're a target. You're going to have a more frequent review.
Yeah.
So they're looking at your age. They're saying, you're under 50, you can go back to work. Let's see what kind of condition he's got. And what the government is doing now is they're looking at your condition. Go, oh, there's a new medicine. There's a new drug out for that.
Right.
You should be on that drug.
Take the
get
drug
back
and
to
we'll
work.
take your money.
Wow. Yeah, that's what they're telling you. So they're looking at your condition. They're seeing what's out there in terms of treatment. New treatments mean you can go back to work. They're going to stop your paycheck.
Wow, that's incredible. I've got some questions about that. When we come back, you're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'd love to hear from all of you out there listening. Call in now at 855-765-1045. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back, Jacksonville. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm your host, Sheifalika, and I'm joined today by Eddie and Chuck Farah. And guys, we have a caller on the line. Let's dive right in. It's Diane with a Social Security-related question. What's going on, Diane?
Hey, Diane.
Hi, how are you today?
Fine. How are you doing?
Okay, I just have a question. I received Social Security disability in November this year. I'll turn 62. So, can I apply for regular Social Security?
Well, I mean,
we can get.
Are you getting the disability? You're getting You're getting the disability portion right now, right?
Yes.
I don't know what the age. I mean, you know, it's a financial thing. You have to talk. We have lawyers in our office that do it. I do personal injury work. We do have attorneys that do Social Security disability and that kind of stuff. I can get you an answer and call you back Monday. But what I'm thinking, I know a little bit about it, but
okay.
If you it depends on how much. I mean, it depends on how much money you're going to receive. I mean, are you getting more now under disability than you would if you were getting at retirement? I mean, do you know that?
I don't know.
Yes, you don't know that. We got to find that out. I mean, you may be better off just staying on the disability until you can receive the retirement Social Security. But I don't know, 62, if you can, I don't know what the age is. I don't think, 65 now? I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to find out for you. But if you want to leave your number.
For me.
She says 62.
It is 62. Okay. Then you ought to call. You can, on your own, you should be able to call the administrator or call them or send them an email and ask them, hey, I'm getting the disability. If I got the retirement, how much money would I be getting each month? That's what you need to find out.
Oh, ask how much I'll be getting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Listen, is it, yeah. Then if it's true, then just switch me over to retirement. I'm 62, and I can get my retirement benefits now, and you may be getting more money.
All right, so it's about the money. Okay, because I heard you say on the radio, if you get disability, they review you.
Yeah, but that's
so often.
Yeah,
that's before you're at the retirement age. I mean,
yeah, that's before your retirement. That's about disability. The government's trying to find out if you're able to work. Like, let's say you went on disability at 50 years old. You were 50 and you couldn't work because of some medical condition. The government's going to review your medical condition on a periodic basis to see if you can go back to work, and they're going to stop your check. But now you're 62. Even if they review you and say you can go back to work, you can get your retirement benefits.
yeah. So it wouldn't affect you because you're in retirement age.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay.
Is it 62? Though?
Okay.
Let me find out
Hold
if
on
it's
for a
62
second,
or
Diane.
not.
We're going to look something up real quick.
Yeah.
How old you have to be to? I forgot.
Yeah, I heard that it was 62,
It is?
but it may have gone up to 65 for
Well,
some.
I know the longer you wait, the more you get. But I mean, that's why.
That's
a lot of people aren't
right.
pulling it.
Let's see, how old do you have to be
Yeah.
to
but,
get Social Security?
Yeah, the government's always changing things around, trying to keep that money, as we know.
Right.
The full retirement age is 66.
Yeah,
66?
66.
Okay, I take that back.
Well, you
But
can
you
receive
can get it, yeah.
at 62. You can receive retirement benefits, but you can reduce your benefits if you start receiving benefits before your full retirement age. You can get your full retirement at 67. So
All
you're
right,
correct,
so
Chuck.
yeah, you can get a check now. That's why you got to find out: are you better off staying on disability or getting your retirement? Because the longer you wait to get the retirement, the more the check's going to be.
I see.
But if they're
Right.
going to try
Okay,
to,
well, thanks.
well, are you being reviewed right now? Have you gotten a letter from them saying they're reviewing your medical condition?
No.
Okay.
I heard you on the radio. Somebody on the radio say
Yeah.
that.
That was me. Yeah, they review it, but you haven't received a letter from them yet saying, "Hey, you can go back to work," right?
No.
Yeah, they're not going to just cut off your check without sending you something.
But I'm a call. You said call.
Definitely.
Call or text. Call or email or something.
Call
Well,
or email.
The decision you got to make is if I take Social Security retirement at 62, is it less than my disability benefits that I'm getting right now?
You're right.
Okay.
Now, but then the second thing you got to look at is if I wait till 66 you're going to get more retirement benefit then than you will now. So you really need to look at what it will be at 66. Not at 62. Because
you're getting your disability right now.
Yeah, you don't want to shortchange yourself by losing on the retirement, because you're getting disability now, so you're getting income in.
So if you can hang in there for a few more years and you hit 67, you can get full retirement that may be giving you more at that point.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, you sure.
So right now,
yes, you sure have helped me.
No, that's what we're here for, Diane. Thanks for calling in. But right now, what you got to do now is look at what you're getting now. Call Social Security and say, if I receive my retirement right now at 62, how much would I receive?
Okay.
If you're getting more money now, just let it go.
Okay.
Just keep taking your disability.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Well,
okay.
Thanks for calling.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you,
okay,
Diane.
You helped me. Okay.
Yes, that is exactly what we do here on Legal Live.
That's what it's all about.
That's right.
That's why we're here.
If you've got another question, feel free to give us a call at 855-765-1045.
Yeah, but the review process has really been kicked up a notch. I could tell.
Yeah,
listen, I can't, it's not a bad thing, but the problem is that if you've been out of work for, 5 years getting disability benefits, and then they determine that you're able to go back to work, it's hard to get back into the workforce at the same level that you are at,
Chuck, you don't have to be at the same level. As long as you can get a job, they're going to take it away from you.
Oh, I know, but
I mean, you can be a greeter at Walmart. That's what they're going to argue.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough situation.
Yeah. So yeah.
That is true. So, we had another caller call into our producer, Daniel, and give the Social Security Administration website. That's ssa.gov for anybody else like Diane that may have some questions.
Yep, there it is, ssa.gov. That's a good start.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get back with you.
As attorneys, when you have clients call you and say, hey, I'm under review now after you guys helped me get some Social Security benefits, where do you start to retaliate or to help them?
You have to receive the letter cutting you off. You got 60 days to appeal it. And then you got to talk to a lawyer at that point.
Gotcha.
Because firms like ours and others will handle that on there's no fee up front. They're going to handle it like a personal injury case. They'll work on a contingency, and they know how to put the lawyers who do this kind of work know the medical evidence they have to present to get you back on disability.
Got it.
Yeah, and
so that's what you got to do.
And if you're not appealing during that period of time, that means you'll probably need to start all over again, and that process can be delayed a year and a half.
Yeah.
So
wow. Is that delayed because of the court systems or just because the process is long?
The way it is. That's how the government works. Everybody knows they work when they want to work.
That's right. That's how the government
works. Not like
works.
us. We have to show up.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think that knowing that you've got that 60-day period and acting on it, calling a firm like yours at Fair and Farah, that is a great opportunity to stay on track with your benefits. We do have a quick break coming up shortly and more callers on the line that we're going to be getting to very shortly. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. Feel free to give us a call at 855-765-1045. We love hearing from you guys, and you are the priority. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined by Eddie and Chuck Farah. We're here to answer your legal questions. We've got a caller on the line from Callahan. It's Holly asking a question about claiming Social Security disability. What's your question, Holly?
Real quick, and I apologize if you've already answered this today, but if you're looking at, I'm sliding past 62, I planned on working to 65, and I have now sustained an injury that will keep me from working to 65? Because I know I get a nicer Social Security check if I can wait till, they want you to keep working till 70, but who can do that anymore? And
Yeah, I know.
if
Tell me about
I'm
it.
on Social Security disability and my employer says, well, you worked long enough, you get a retirement benefit from us too, will that kill my Social Security disability payment if I'm getting a retirement check from my boss?
Are you talking about disability or retirement check from Social Security?
Disability.
Oh, so you can't work. But, it's not just you can't go back to the job you're doing. It's basically you can't go back to work doing anything.
Right.
It's a high standard.
It's a high standard. Maybe based on your educational background, you can go sit behind a desk or something. If you can do that, you're not going to get disability.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going back to the job that you're doing now. It's any job.
Any job.
Yeah. That's why it's so difficult. And they look at your educational background, and if you're maybe somebody who's worked in construction and didn't finish high school, it's a lot easier for you to get it because it's harder for that type of person to find a job.
Right. We were discussing this with our oldest child who had just retired from a government job. So he had put in his 20 years.
Right.
So he's getting a retirement benefit from his job.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I can't go back to work in law enforcement now because my legs are too messed up.
Yeah, but he could maybe do something else.
He could do something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if you can file for disability if you're getting a retirement check from that job.
Well, I think that's different. I don't know. That's a good question. Again, we do a lot of that work. We have lawyers in our office that do it every day. That's all they do. Chuck and I are personal injury lawyers. If you want that question answered, I can get somebody on the phone to answer that for you on Monday.
That would be great.
Yeah, if you will leave your number, because that's a good question, and I want to know the answer to it too. If you leave your number with our producer, I'll have one of the attorneys call you back on Monday. And
Absolutely.
you can get the
Thanks
answer to that. Sure, no problem. Yeah, that's a good question, and I want to find out. I want to know for my own personal benefit.
Right?
Yeah.
Holly, thank you so much. Stay on the line for a little bit. I did a little bit of homework over on the Googles, and I found something that may help just guide this conversation for you, Holly. It says, the question is, does retirement income affect Social Security disability benefits? The answer is, while retirement benefits impact your SSI benefits, these private funds usually do not change your SSDI amount. If your pension or retirement plans come from an employer that did not withhold Social Security taxes, your monthly payments may be affected.
Yeah, but I'm sure they withheld. She was a W-2 employee.
Probably, yeah, exactly.
So she's
That's
good
interesting.
to go. But still, I'll get it from one of the attorneys. I'll have him call Holly back on.
That was a great call,
Yeah,
Holly.
good question.
Yeah.
And see, that's the whole thing. We get the great questions come from the people.
That's right.
Because they're in these situations and unique situations, and they have, this is stuff we like,
Yeah, I see the way you light up. You and Chuck light
it
up
is,
every
because
time
it's an
we get
interesting
callers.
question. Yeah, I don't do Social Security, but it's a question that probably comes up a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in that situation.
Sure.
I'm getting retirement from my employer. Can I get another check from the government for Social Security? Can it be
good question.
disability? So we'll find out.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it next
Yeah,
weekend
Mark
on
will
Legal
call
Live.
him. It's probably going to be Mark Hall. He's one of our Social Security lawyers, and he knows the answer to that.
That's awesome.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So what else would you like to... Oh, we have another caller on the
Okay,
line
let's go
coming
take that.
in hot. We've
Okay.
got
Ooh, Kevin from Jacksonville.
From Jacksonville. And I think we're just going to jump right to you, Kevin. We've got a few minutes here. What's your question? Our producer's getting you up on the line.
Maybe we can come back to his question. I can move on.
Sure.
You want to give him a second? Or?
He's got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
He's got it. All right, Kevin, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Fine.
Doing well. What's your question?
So my question was, I was injured on the job about a year and a half ago, December actually, 2021. I received an amputation to a finger. Now, my company paid for all my medical, to get, as best I could. This Wednesday, I'm scheduled to go for what would be considered like the end of treatment and a final determination of loss, I guess.
Correct.
So my question is, when that's being determined, who's paying for that? Is that the workman's comp company, or is that my own company I work for?
Well, you're not paying for it. It's probably the workers' comp insurance company paying for that.
Okay.
When you say your employer paid for it, I doubt it. I think the workers' comp paid for it, all that stuff.
So
that's why your employer buys workers' comp insurance, so they don't have to worry about paying it.
Right. And I guess my other question is, when they go to offer me a settlement of a percentage of loss,
correct?
Do I have any legal standings to counter, or am I just stuck with whatever the doctor says?
Your attorney would know the value of that case. Okay.
I don't have one.
Okay, then, if you'd like, we do that work. I could have somebody reach out to you and give you an idea of what he thinks it's worth. Because you don't know. You really want to talk to an attorney about it, because they're not going to offer you. Well, they may offer you full value. I would be surprised, but it doesn't cost anything to talk to an attorney and get an idea from him what the case is worth, which I would do first. Okay. And then if they offer you that kind of money, then you don't need a lawyer. But if they're
I just don't know what the number would be, and I don't know if I counter, if I have a right to counter, or if I contact an attorney if I feel like the number is not high enough.
Yeah, you do. Kevin, what you can do is leave your phone number with our producer, and on Monday I will have one of our workers' comp attorneys give you a call if you want to talk to him about it. And he can give you an idea what he thinks it's worth, and then you can make a decision what you want to do.
Another thing, the
lawyer.
did
you look? Let me ask, and I know this is a separate topic. I'm not going to get into what we don't want to get into on the air as to how it happened. Did you ever investigate a products liability aspect of that case to see if some third party was responsible for it?
Well, there was. I had actually made a call to you guys about the third party, because at the time I wasn't sure, legally my standings with who I would be suing, whether it would be my employer or workman's comp or the third party that was involved in, creating this situation that, caused the amputation.
Right.
And, at the time I didn't want to, sue my company. I like my company, and I was, but it was unfortunate. There was some lack of, personal protective equipment that we could have had that probably could have avoided the entire thing.
Are you still working there?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And that was going to be my last question: is if I litigated this, does my company have the right to terminate me, or am I covered under oath?
Yeah, they could terminate you anyway, but I think that question
technically
is best.
They're not allowed to, but
they're not. It's against the law for them. You're right, Chuck. It's against the law for them to terminate you because you filed a workers' comp claim. Okay.
The workers' comp claim has already been out there. I was talking about, a lawsuit regarding the unsafe work environment that led to this injury in the first place.
Well, if you're suing your employer, you cannot sue your employer under the workers' comp law.
Okay.
You can only sue them if they almost basically intentionally hurt you. And I don't know if that was an intentional. For them not having a safety device is not going to consider it intentional. So you would not be able to sue your employer. That's the thing about workers' comp. Fault doesn't matter. Even if the accident is your fault, you still get your benefits. But the flip side of that is you can't sue your employer for pain and suffering and all that. So
and that's not what I'm interested in. I'm more interested in the fact that I've got 15 years more work ahead of me until I retire. And I'm not whole anymore.
Right.
I can't do the same job I used to be able to do before this happened.
Well, yeah, that's why I would suggest you leave your number with the producer, and I will have someone reach out to you on Monday.
Okay.
And he can talk to you over the phone and give you all your options.
Thank you, Kevin. That is another phenomenal case.
Yeah, that's another good.
Great
See, the thing that people don't think about is that when you're injured on the job, you can't sue your employer. But let's say it's a vehicle accident. You're driving a company truck. Somebody rear ends you. You can't, and you're injured on the job. You get workers' comp, but you can also sue the at-fault driver who hit you. So because you're not suing your employer. Or another situation we talked about with Kevin is a third party. Let's say it was a defective piece of machinery that caused his injury. Well, you're not suing the employer. You're suing the people that made the machine.
Right.
So he would have a workers' comp claim. He would also have a third party claim against the people that made the machine that was defective that caused his injury. So there's all kind of ways to look at it.
Right.
There's no simple answer, but
Yeah.
on Monday we're going to get him to
Yeah,
somebody.
another thing the lawyers will do is they'll review all the benefits that he was entitled to.
Yeah.
And if they shortchanged him or didn't pay completely the benefit that he was entitled to,
Right.
they can file a petition and get that paid.
Yeah, they'll review while he was out having the surgery and all that. If they
Yeah.
paid him the correct amount.
The
on
correct
salaries.
amount, and they'll look at any other benefits he
Yeah.
may have been entitled
Because if you're working a second job and you can't work that second job due to a workers' comp injury, you get paid the money you would have made from your second job. So you
Yeah.
would have gotten paid for both jobs. But,
Wow.
we can, that's interesting.
Fascinating. Oh, my
Yes.
goodness. Great questions today, guys. Our lines are open. We've got a few more minutes left in the show. Our number here at Legal Live is 855-765-1045. You're listening to Legal Live on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll be right back after this quick break. Alrighty, Jacksonville, you are listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined by Eddie and Chuck Farah. We've got a very important caller on the line. I'm so glad you called back, Greg. We had some earlier questions from Diane and Holly about Social Security, and Greg is the caller who gave us that website, ssa.gov. How's it going, Greg?
It's going well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome. And the reason I called back, I wanted to clarify and provide some additional information on that website. Anyone can go to the ssa.gov website and set up an account. And what that allows them to do is they can go right to the account and determine how much their Social Security would be when they claim and when they're eligible to claim. They can also use different dates of claiming to determine how much their benefit would be. That information is readily available online, and they don't have to talk to a person, and no one has to get back to them. And I really encourage people to set up an account, because an additional element of that account is when our wages are reported to Social Security every year, we can go to the site to ensure that our wages have been reported correctly. So all of that information is readily available in real time online.
But if you have a specific question, can you send them a question from that site? I mean, will they get back?
That I cannot address, but directly to your first caller who wanted to know how much she will collect.
Yeah, that was Diane.
Right.
Yes, that's right online. She can see the number in real time. And as I said, she can play with scenarios, whether she claimed at 62, 63, 64, all the way up to 70, and it will show how much her payments will change.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And even for people like me who are still in the workforce, you're saying, Greg, that I can go there and maybe make an account and make sure that all of my taxes taken out for Social Security are properly going in the right numbers every year. Is that right?
That is correct. They'll show it by year, and you can actually just, of course, click on the button and download a file, and it will show you information such as what your family would receive if you were deceased. I think there is some disability information on there, but I'm not sure about that. But Eddie and Chuck, you probably remember how we used to get that annual Social Security report in the mail.
Right. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Well, that's online now. You can request it
Wow.
at any time, and that same information, that same comprehensive information is in your account.
Well, I'm getting my check now, Greg. I can tell you that.
Well, it
Yeah,
just so happened I was on the site last night, checking to determine, well, should I go ahead and start to draw now, or should I wait? But that's some good information. That
I
can
didn't
help
wait.
people
I
decide.
want it now. I want to get what I can. You never know, man.
You know what, Greg?
Everybody's got it in a different situation. I agree.
Yeah. I really appreciate you calling in. You sound so well informed about the
thanks.
site and you just deliver that very clearly. I'm actually kind of excited. I think I'll set up an account as well.
Yeah.
So thank you, Greg. And this is what I really like about callers like you. You call in because you heard another caller have a question that you might have an answer for.
Yeah.
So this is how
It's a
we
network. network of info.
Exactly.
I'm going to check myself, see if I'm getting the right amount of money.
Exactly. I'm going to make sure that my
I mean,
tax is
me
pulled
too.
out the right amount. You know what?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would like to say I think this is one instance when Social Security got it right in terms of the information that's readily available to us.
Wow, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. And that's always a blessing in disguise when the government gets something right. Especially.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Greg.
calling,
I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you all
man.
for what you do as well.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
We love what we
Hold up.
do here
That's
on
why.
Legal Live.
That's what Sheifalika, all about the people.
It is.
It's all about you, and that's why we love doing this show. We've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
We learn, we give information, and we get information. It's a symbiotic relationship. Because nobody knows it all, and everybody has different experiences and has been through different situations, and it all comes together here on Saturday.
Here at Saturdays at noon on Legal Live.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hold
And
on,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you have any more time. Do you have any
We do. We
callers?
have a minute or two.
Okay, well, I was going to mention something kind of interesting. I mean, I know we do personal injury work, but, there's a Florida statute, because everybody thinks, talks about does a contract have to be in writing to be enforceable and so forth. But generally, oral contracts that are not in writing can be enforceable. They're enforceable. You can take somebody to court, but there are certain contracts that have to be in writing. And and this is in Florida. Every state's probably different, but in Florida, any contract for the sale of land has to be in writing. Okay.
Okay.
Any lease for more than a year has to be in writing to be enforceable. So if I want to lease an apartment for 6 months or 9 months, that I tell you, yes, I'll pay you $500 a month to rent your apartment for 9 months, and I don't pay, it's not in writing. You can still sue me for that money. That's an enforceable contract, even though it's not in writing. Any contract that cannot be performed in a year is enforceable. So if I tell you that it's going to take me 3 months to rebuild your deck, and it's not in writing, and I don't do it, you can sue me. That's an enforceable contract because it can be performed it's not going to be performed within a year. It's a 3-month contract.
Got it.
Also, if I promise to pay the debt of another person, that has to be in writing. So generally, contracts don't have to be, except for those categories,
Right.
those situations, a contract to be enforceable can be just an oral contract, just a verbal agreement to do something, except for those categories.
Yeah.
I always find that interesting.
Yeah, that is
Everybody
interesting.
thinks is it in writing? Is it in writing? No, it's not in writing. It doesn't have to be in writing.
Right. It's
You
still
know,
enforceable.
I can still sue you to perform that contract because it doesn't have to be in writing.
Well, for everybody that went on vacation with their buddies this
Yeah.
summer, you better pay them back for those hotel rooms.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much to all of our callers. I want to thank Eddie and Chuck as well. And our callers, Diane, Holly, Kevin, and Greg, thank you so much. Your calls were really interesting and fascinating. That's what we do here on Legal Live. And that's what we do best. This show is brought to you by Farah Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll talk to you again next Saturday at noon. Thanks for listening.